AEW is exactly like WCW for both good and bad reasons. But looking at AEW's product and direction of late, it's becoming WCW in the worst way. AEW is overspending on free agents with diminishing marginal returns, relying on stars from the past and aging veterans at the top of every championship division, all while catering to a hardcore fan base with an over-reliance on professional wrestling and no cinema. In this video, we're going to talk about all the ways AEW is becoming like WCW, from the aesthetic to slumping ratings and even trying to be like WWE. Sure, a WCW-like downfall is unlikely to be repeated by AEW because of the Khan family fortune, but AEW is ice cold right now and needs to kick out. Otherwise, they'll essentially be no different from ROH being funded by Sinclair Broadcasting. And look how that turned out.
I just became the new owner of Ring of Honor.
Please subscribe in Swahili. My sweet queer Auntie Colin said she'll block me until we get to 20,000. Help a brother out. Anyway, speaking of aunties, AEW is pushing way too many unks right now. Aging stars hanging on to the main event spotlight despite a talented young roster just waiting in the rings was one of the many reasons WCW went under. The AEW World Champion is 45-year-old Uncle Joe. Your new TNT champion is 50-year-old Uncle Adam, who just beat 50-year-old Uncle Christian for the strap. The international champion is 40-year-old Uncle Roddy. One of the three trios champions is 60-year-old Uncle Billy. The youngest sanctioned male champion in AEW is 36-year-old Uncle Okada, which, speaking as a 37-year-old, 36 is a new 26. Get it how you live. Shannon Sharp, the original Unk, is the biggest star in sports media at age 55. Stephen A. Smith is right there with him at age 56. But neither of my uncles have to take bumps to earn a living. Plus, Okada isn't just 36. He's a New Japan 36. He worked that brutal style as a top guy for over a decade. All age isn't created equal. Okada started wrestling in 2004 and was a top star in New Japan Pro Wrestling for 12 years. He's 36 biologically, but in wrestling years, he's old enough to be...
Thank you for being a friend.
Well, he's old enough to be an AEW champion. So let's say he's 45 in wrestling years, which is the median age of a male-sanctioned AEW champion. AEW was well on its way to building around a young nucleus through its 4 pillars, but they burned that house down to the ground because all them pillars have violently vanished. Last week, I was visiting my Auntie Collins, such a sweetheart. She made cookies and let me lick the spoon, and one of my cousins said WWE's champions are in their 30s and 40s. Nigga, and AEW and WWE are not fighting the same fight. WWE has endless resources. They have NXT, which is building the next generation of young talent on television before our very eyes. This includes Trick Williams, who's already proven himself to be a television draw. For my money, Trick, at just 29 years of age, is already one of the biggest stars, not in NXT, not in WWE, but in all of wrestling. Tell me 2 pillars, let alone 1, who are bigger stars than Trick Willie. Plus, there will be more young, charismatic college athletes to come because WWE has its own NIL Next in Line program. WWE has TKO and Hollywood running the show. Plus, WWE is making billions of dollars and just might F around and go mainstream with this Netflix deal. WWE could book my Auntie Collins to be women's champion and they'll still thrive, bless her soul. WWE doesn't have an age problem. AEW does. What AEW doesn't have is a developmental territory like NXT. AEW does not have a pipeline of young college athletes on decky. AEW has to create and foster the next generation of fresh young talent to build their brand around right now, or AEW contracts will just turn into pro wrestling GI Bills for WWE veterans. If you like pro wrestling veterans, which I do, but don't like AEW, which I swear I do, then watch some of the greatest wrestlers of all time featured in documentaries, streaming right now on today's partner, FRNDLY TV. AEW's aesthetic and presentation is very similar to WCW, namely the logo for AEW Collision, which is an unapologetic carbon copy of the WCW Nitro logo. AEW is already run by a billionaire, just like WCW, and it airs on the Turner networks, just like WCW. But Tony Khan seems to have a meta obsession with WCW Easter eggs, right down to making Uncle Sting into its biggest star, albeit during a retirement tour. As a 90s kid, I love WCW. I follow Eric Bischoff on Twitter and he follows me back. But there will always be one WCW, and when it ended badly. The more AEW reminds you about its similarities to WCW, the more people will associate the promotion with the company that fell apart as soon as WWE got hot. Just like AEW is beginning to crumble during WWE's hot streak right now. WWE's Renaissance era is coming on the strength of both Raw and SmackDown. Even NXT feels like must-watch television as the heart-black kid Shawn Michaels is booking Black History every week. That's why Sexy Red, one of the biggest rappers in the world, was singing his song from the backseat of the Jeep. By the way, Sexy Red is my Auntie Collins' favorite rapper. She knows all the words to Pound Town. So Sexy Red, if you're watching this, follow Auntie Collins in Swahili. Meanwhile, AEW is following in WCW's footsteps by making AEW Rampage a lame duck show, just like WCW Thunder. Rampage did its biggest number in months this week, but that was only because it aired immediately after Dynamite. AEW moves forward with that 3-hour block formula, it'll water down the entire product like nobody's business. Plus, all those bad faith WWE agitators like me will report the average number for a 3-hour block of AEW programming, which is only 716,000 viewers this week, by the way. A way lower number than what Dynamite had been doing. Each WWE show has a purpose and direction. WWE Raw is the wrestling show with the pro wrestling throwback babyface in Cody Rhodes. Let's go, Cody! And a workhorse Seth Rollins as its world champion. Rollins was defending the WWE World Championship on TV routinely before he went down with a knee injury. WWE SmackDown is the Hollywood show, anchored by Roman Reigns, The Bloodline, cinema, and most importantly, Hollywood rock. NXT is a developmental show where the future stars of WWE find themselves by trial and error. Some of the wacky storylines work, some don't, but it's usually so much fun to watch. With AEW, it's basically AEW Nitro and 2 episodes of Thunder. AEW Collision is no different from Rampage, and while ROH can be a developmental territory, it has no TV deal and no purpose to speak of whatsoever. Billionaire Tony and AEW feel like they're trying to spin their way into a purpose by signing every free agent under Oprah's son. Similar to how Mike Awesome was making 6 figures in WCW as the fat chick thriller, Get It How You Live. Unfortunately, when it comes to signing free agents, Tony Khan has become the boy who cried wolf. Khan himself admitted WCW's biggest problem was signing too many stars and not doing anything with them. Fast forward to Khan fumbling the bag with most of his free agents. Tony Khan seems more concerned about the perception that people want to sign with AEW than how well they'll do when they get there. Dynamite did 801,000 views for a show with a largely unadvertised Mercedes Money. This past week, despite loading up a show with several segments and matches announced beforehand, they did 800,000 average viewers. It's becoming crystal clear that it doesn't matter whether or not AEW announces big stars for its shows because viewers have lost faith in Tony Khan's booking or lack thereof. Cody Rhodes went to WWE and became the biggest star in the business. Jade Cargill is well on her way to doing the same. Khan just keeps signing people to debut and then just wrestle meaningless matches until they either disappear or get hurt. The day after Cody Rhodes debuted with WWE, he cut what to this day is his most famous promo when he told WWE's audience who he is and why he's here. He wants to finish the story and win the world title his dad never won. This isn't some innovative concept. We may be in the era of Instagram, but WWE isn't reinventing the reel. That's right. WWE's just giving you a reason to reinvest in Cody Rhodes post-Stardust. And it worked. It worked too well, in fact, because when WWE even thought about veering away from Cody's story back in February, it led to a revolt that threatened to derail WrestleMania 40, forcing WWE to quickly go back to Cody's story. Let's go, Cody! WWE doesn't need to look in a mirror after a directionless AEW spending spree in free agency. AEW is like the Washington Commanders, who have a history of ink drying on bad free agent contracts. They even fumbled the bag with Deion Sanders. How do you fumble the bag with Coach Prime in his prime? How? Will Ospreay has been here for almost a month, and I still don't know what his long-term plans are. One of my cousins, my Auntie Collins' daughter, worked part-time as Will Ospreay's promo interpreter. Before she got fired for gambling Ospreay's money on AEW matches, she told me his goal in AEW was to just wrestle. Okay, but who in AEW is there not to wrestle? other than Miro. AEW needs to start giving its talent purpose and storylines. Otherwise, all that money that they're throwing at their problems will be nothing more than a Tony tax write-off. AEW's final WCW-like problem is catering to the internet, where they treat their entire fan base, all 12 of them, like they're in on the joke. Similar to how news publications write in a style that even a 5th grader can understand, AEW needs to book in a way that a first-time viewer can understand. Too many talent disappear off television with no follow-up and with no rhyme or reason. CM Punk, The Elite, Jack Perry, Britt Baker, Jon Moxley are all big stars who disappeared for no reason. AEW needs to treat its product like a storybook, not a message board. The dying days of WCW were marred by inside baseball segments featuring Vince Russo, who also follows me on Twitter, shout out to Vince bro. But Tony Khan needs to be focused on being the first Tony Khan, not the next Vince Russo, let alone any Vince in wrestling. Check out this video about all those AEW belts and subscribe. What WCW comparisons have you seen in AEW? Do you have an Auntie Collins in your life? Tell me in the comments!